Here we go. So anyways, as I'm just kind of thinking is, you know, time is a commodity or thing that they don't make anymore. We all have the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day and 365 days a year. That's all we get. And the challenge is, make sure you find your mute button. Let's see if I can mute all. And so if you have a question, feel free to unmute. And we'll close that out. But when we, you know, if time is the one commodity that they don't make any more of, the challenge we have, and just think along with me for a moment, is we go to school. Some of us will go to college. Some of us will get out of school and we'll start a career. And we start what I call the 40-40 never plan. What is that? You work for 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life. You never make enough money and you can never retire. The 40-40 never plan. I didn't sign up for that. And you think, oh, it's not that bad. Well, I fell into financial services 35 years ago by accident. I saw an ad in the paper that said you can make a bunch of money. I said, yeah, that's what I want. And back then, according to the Department of Health and Social Services, 96% of Americans were relying on some or all of their income to come from Social Security. 96%, some or all of their income from Social Security. Now, I'll show you a slide. Social Security is going to be out of money in about 8 years. They're running in a deficit today. And according to the Department of Health and Social Services, 96% of Americans rely on some or all of their money to come from Social Security, half or more. Half or all of their income to come from Social Security today. 35 years later, it hasn't changed. And I think it was Einstein that said it best. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So what we want to do in the next 25 minutes or so is to open your mind on a potential that might just give you more time back to yourself, rather than giving that to the workplace, to the job, to making financial ends meet, especially today. So living benefits begin with our company. The first thing we tell people is we don't give tax or legal advice. Everything I'm sharing with you, you can confirm and validate with your tax accountant or CPA. So we're not making anything up. But our objective tonight is to share information that's going to benefit you and your family and the people you know, love, and care about, and explain to you how by sharing and teaching others, by sharing what you're learning tonight with other people, how it can reward you and your family, not just with an income, but with some time. And I'll get to what I mean by that. Our company, Freedom Equity Group, was started by these three gentlemen in 2002. We are a debt-free company. We owe no money to no one. And these gentlemen actually been in business longer than 2002. Together, they started a company back in the 90s, built it up to millions. They sold it for millions of dollars, and they took half of that money and they shared it with the agents who helped them build it. And they're doing it again. And I'm going to get into what that really means. But you're with a company that already has a proven track record, and then that's peace of mind. So why Freedom Equity Group? What makes us different? Well, what makes us different is not what we give to people, but how it's distributed, how it's given, how it's handed out. Just kind of like how Starbucks changed how you get a cup of coffee. Coffee was around before Starbucks. They just changed how you got it. And the fact that these little barista locations where you can get this coffee or your tea, and they put them all across the country, they changed how they can distribute coffee. McDonald's, Ray Kroc, he changed how you got the hamburger. Burgers are around before Ray Kroc. He just changed, and because of what he did, you can stay in your car and enjoy the meal. Amazon changed how you do your shopping. A lot of people, that's where you're getting your Christmas shopping right now. Apple changed how you make a phone call. In fact, a lot of you right now are listening to this on an Apple device. They didn't change communication. They just made it simpler on how to get the information. What Freedom Equity Group is doing is we are changing how people receive their financial services information. Our crusade is revolutionizing a $1 trillion industry. In fact, it's the largest industry in the world, financial services, the only industry measured in the trillions, not the millions or billions. So it's a big deal. And we have figured a way through on how we can share this information. Because of technology, we can do things we could never do before. And FEG built a digital system that we started building over 10 years ago. What we didn't know then, but we do know today, is we were building a system for a pandemic. We just didn't know it until the pandemic showed up. And we've been growing. And I'm going to share with you our numbers. Our compensation model is second to none. And we have the most powerful financial alliances in the United States, some of the oldest. I'm going to share with you who they are. However, there's something better. You can't work for a true retirement or true income or true wealth unless you can work for an equity play. And that's what we've got. We have the best exit strategy in the industry. We call it equity share points. As I said earlier, the three owners, they sold a company, they took half of the money and shared it with the agents who helped them get there. Well, they're doing it again, and FEG is so much bigger than what they had before. And how can I make this real? Well, it's already happening. This equity play is already in play and moving now. Fidelity, FNF, you can't go on and look at the stock market without seeing these people. They bought 30% of Freedom Equity Group just 2 years ago. Now, why would they do that? That's during 2020, during COVID, during quarantine, right? I'm going to share with you why. But if our contract says that half of the gross value goes to the agent, that means half of whatever that 30% was would have to go to the agents, right? Now, I've seen stock offerings, stock options with companies. I've seen profit sharing. I've never seen a company share 50% of its gross value, never, ever. And so when they bought 30% of Freedom Equity Group 2 years ago last week, $8.1 million, 8.1 million was shared with 133 people. I was there. I got to watch it. I got to participate in that. I have never seen this before. You can actually work. You can't buy our stock, but you can work it and earn it. It's like a free pension plan if you plugged in. And the reason Fidelity jumped on board is because we grew by 32% in 2020. We were ready. Financial services as a whole went down by 16%. We grew by 32. Now that could be a fluke. Okay, they grew by 32, unless you could back it up and do it again. Last year, 2021, we did. And what we've done is we've wiped out the issue of starting a business. See, the 4 phases of starting a business is you got to start it up. You got to have the capital to do it. You got to go through your growth. You got to mature it. And then you have business renewal or decline, and it's bound to happen. 85% of new startup companies failed in the first 5 years. Here's something even spookier. Of the companies that make it the first 5 years, 90% of those fail in the second 5 years. So you want to find a business or a career path that has already stood the test of time and has that growth factor involved, and that's where we stand. Freedom Equity Group, we grew in 2020, but we backed it up, not a 32% growth, but a 38% growth in 2021. And guess what? We surpassed that this year. Over 40 million of life premiums sold, over 100 million in annuities. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, okay, what's an annuity? I kind of heard maybe those were bad. No, actually, they're not. What an annuity is a savings plan offered through an insurance company, where they're dollar for dollar matched at the state level. It's actually better than FDIC, and you can make that market rate of return. And the new annuities, current, not the old school, the new school, actually protect your money and guarantee that when you make money, you keep your gains guaranteed. You can't lose your money. So if the market goes up, you make money. If the market goes down, you keep that gain. If we could give that to you, would you want it? Yeah, that's what an annuity does. And the life policies are even stronger because that distribution can be tax-free. And I'm going to get into that for just a moment. But this is proof that this is an amazing chance to grow with a company that's already doing it. But you want to get involved before the final phase, because the owner still owns 70%. They're worth over 9 figures. I'll let you do the math on that later. Half of that's going to be paid out to the agents who help them grow. And the next equity share round, they're saying, is going to be June of 2024. We got about 18 months. There's time where you can participate in that payout. So you don't just work for compensation with this company. There's an equity play involved as well. Now, with what we do, it's so important. Why? Because Americans are in a financial crisis. And we already know that. It's on the news all over the place with inflation and everything. Survey shows that 97% of baby boomers aren't ready for retirement. And there's 10,000 baby boomers a day right now retiring, and will for the next 7 years straight. 10,000 people a day tapping into Social Security and Medicare. How do we pay those bills? We're already at a $31 trillion national deficit. If we paid the bill off right now, everybody on this call, we'd all have to come up with $250,000. Are you ready to write that check? No. Well, why should I? Well, that's just the government's debt. No, that's our debt. Because how the government pays its bills, it's called tax dollars. So we all get a belly up to the bar on that one. But our financial crisis isn't done, because our student loan debt is crippling, 1.7 trillion. Credit card debt is growing now because people don't have enough money to pay the $7 gallon gas. Inflation's killing them. Christmas is here, and they're mounting debt up on credit cards, 1.1 trillion. So what do? People aren't making, in fact, according to, it was Yahoo Finance about a week and a half ago, Americans are $3.68 trillion behind in saving money. 3.68 trillion. Folks, there's a problem. And I can tell you right now, in business, the person or company that brings a solution to a problem will make millions. And we have that solution, and we've digitized a system to help you share it. So let's look at how people save their money. Not just for retirement, but how do people save their money? There's only 3 ways to save it. You got tax now. Now that would be like a checking account or a CD. You pay taxes on the deposit. If it makes money, you get a tax statement at the end of the year, pay taxes on that. That's tax now. Then there's tax later. Tax later is like a 401k or 403b, a thrift savings, a TSA. Those are tax later plans, tax delayed plans. And the challenge there is you're subject to market risk, but also is the fact that you're going to pay taxes. Death and taxes. We can't get away from those things. Well, here with the 401ks, 403bs, 457s, the alphabet soup, all this does is define who you work for. It's a tax later plan. But think about it this way. Is it smart to save $100 today? Hopefully it'll grow, and wait for it to be worth $200. And you don't pay taxes on the 100, you wait for it to be worth 200 and you pay taxes on 200. Is that smart? I just met with a 34-year-old lady. She goes, that'd be the dumbest thing to do. I said, well, that's a 401k. She goes, why would I do that? I said, that's my question. However, that's where people are being taught. There's a better way to save money, and that's a tax advantage solution. Now, in the tax advantage realm, you do have Roth IRAs, and a lot of people have heard about those. The challenge with Roths is if you make too much money, you can't own one, but you can only put between $4,000 to $6,000 a year into one, so that you're limited on what you can put in, and you still can't touch it before 59.5 without a penalty. It comes with golden handcuffs. There's bonds and 529 plans that work just like your IRAs, or there's permanent life insurance with cash accumulation. Now, this is what Walt Disney used to fund Disneyland. Watch the documentary. He was building a theme park based around a mouse. People thought he was nuts, so he took money tax-free out of a life contract for the initial funding of Disneyland. Ray Kroc, we just saw a McDonald's guy. He needed money for the creation of a mascot. He took money tax-free out of a life contract for some of the initial funding of Ronald McDonald. Foster Farms bought their first chicken ranch tax-free. And I just tell people to keep it light. If it's good enough for a clown, a mouse, and a chicken, maybe people should pay attention. It's the greatest wealth accumulation vehicle of our time, and I'm going to show that to you. But before we get there, you need to understand how money works. The rule of 72 says, how long will it take for your money to double? If you divide your interest rate by 72, it'll tell you how many years it takes for your money to double. If you're making 4%, it'll double every 18 years. Not enough. If you're making 6% every 12, still not enough. We operate over here in 8%, but we want that money to be tax-free. We want your money to double every 9 years without the downside risk and keep it tax-free. But you want to make sure your money will double as quickly as possible. The biggest expense you're going to have in saving money is the cost of delay, or the cost of waiting. If you want $1 million at age 65 and make that 8%, here's what you're going to have to do. If you're 24 years old or 25, save $286 a month. For 40 years straight at 8%, you'll have that $1 million. But if you wait just 10 years, it's $670. 5 years later, I just had a 34-year-old on the phone, $1,000 a month. If she waited 6 years, she goes, I can't believe it. Those are the numbers. The most expensive thing is the cost of delay. Don't wait. The most important thing is to start. Start saving money. That's what we help people do. Now, the biggest enemy outside of delay is the stock market. And this is what the market would have done if you had $100,000 or $100 in the market back in 99. The dot-com bust wiped out 30% of your money. The red line is the market. We came back, it took about 7-8 years to get back to ground zero. Oop, mortgage meltdown. We made some money back up, but now we're falling off again. People are down 20-25%. Here's what we do. Here's indexing. When the market makes money, we're on the green line. The money, you make money. But when the market goes down, your gains are locked in for life. You cannot lose that money. When the market comes back, you take off from where you left. And right here, we're showing people 80% more money. And oh, by the way, that is 1/3 the fee of ownership versus a 401k, and it can be tax-free. So we want to remove the enemy, remove the risk. Tony Robbins wrote a 600-page book on this topic right here. Invest like the wealthy. Well, folks, you don't have to be wealthy to save like the rich. We help people with every dollar that they got that they want to save. So what's the ideal savings vehicle? The nirvana, the pie in the sky. Here's what people would want. You want a stock market rate of return. Yep, I want that. Oh, I want it to grow tax-free. Excuse me, I want it to grow tax-deferred. I don't want to pay taxes as it grows. And I want to be able to take it out tax-free. Yeah. Oh, before we get going, I want to be guaranteed against loss. That's what I want. Now, here's my question. If I can give you all three of those areas, would you want it? And what people tell me is they say, well, yeah, but that doesn't exist. Well, you want to know what? Life insurance as a savings vehicle has been the #1 savings vehicle in this country for over 100 years. That's what Walt Disney used. Foster Farms got their first chicken ranch tax-free. The kitchen gadget company, you can look it up, Pampered Chef, was started tax-free out of a life contract, later sold to Warren Buffett for $900 million. Folks, this is real. And this money, because there's no taxes, there's no age 59.5, you can use the money for whatever you want, for whatever your needs. Supplement your retirement, cover emergencies, business expense, college, weddings, vacation homes. I even had a guy take his money out of his tax-free account to pay his taxes. He needed the money, but it was there to use. Again, no taxes, no age 59.5, retire when you want, as long as you've got the money. But the thing is how can you afford to fund this strategy? How can you afford? The only answer is you got to make more money. So the options only matter if you can earn enough to fund something like this. So what's your family's most valuable asset? Is it your house, your car, your jewelry? Believe it or not, it's your ability to make an income. So what happens if you couldn't make the income? What happens if you got sick? 78% of workers are paycheck to paycheck. If you got sick, your income goes down, but guess what might go up? The expenses. So now what do? Your options are deplete your savings. 67% of people didn't save a penny last year. Sell your assets. Now you have nothing to sit on. Borrow money, start a GoFundMe. Maybe your spouse is working, or collect Social Security. Remember, they're operating at a deficit right now if you qualify. Or remember, when a life contract is issued, the insurance company has to have enough cash on hand to pay the death claim the day you get the policy. And they're audited for that money every single year. And the companies we work with said, why not give them the money if they get sick? It's already on deposit. It's called an accelerated benefit rider. So if you got sick, heart attack, stroke, cancer, who's going to pay the bills? Who makes the house payment, car payment? You got health insurance, but you're not working. How long could you survive if you got sick? These living benefits were invented by a doctor in South Africa 30 years ago, went to Europe, came to the United States in 2007. It's a game changer in financial services. This is life insurance you don't have to die to get your hands on. So what we do is we change the outcome of situations for the better. If you died, or excuse me, if you died for your family, but if you got sick, you are the beneficiary of your own policy. So your tax-free savings, in essence, will self-complete itself if you got sick, up to $1 million to $1.5 million, depending on the plan. Folks, this is a big deal. It changes the concept of how your retirement dollars, your savings dollars can work. 7 out of 10 people are going to have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. The average age is 43. Oh, by the way, the average age of a bankruptcy is 44. Because 70% of those people who got sick didn't die. The doctors did their job, but they couldn't afford to keep their homes. It's crazy. So what with these living benefits, critical illness, heart attack, stroke, cancer, we have up to 16 illness triggers. You can't do 2 of the 6 basic activities of daily living. And terminal, that's been around forever. But these programs change outcomes for the better. It's a free benefit wrapped within the program, no cost. So let's do an example. Here's an example of an actual client. He had the old style of life policy, $1 million plan, had a triple bypass, but it didn't have the living benefits. He wasn't doing that one. He lost his house, almost lost his practice. He still has $1 million coverage today because he didn't die. So could you afford to be that guy, or would you like to be this guy? This is Dr. Jonathan. He got the new updated programs, and we need help sharing this with people. That's why you're on this call, not just to get it for yourself, but to share this with others. Why? It changes lives. It does. He got this policy, made 1 month's deposit, diagnosed with throat cancer. 4 weeks after his diagnosis, the company deposited $750,000 tax-free into his bank account. Changed his family dynamic. He didn't have to worry about work. He could focus on the things that mattered. He's now cancer-free. His story was on TV, Fox Business News. It made such a ripple through the community. We have a copy of that documentary. And feel free to ask the person who got you on this call to listen to that. Folks, it'll change you. It'll change the people around you. The bottom line is we made a difference. The companies we work with, I already told you, have hundreds of years in experience. Some of them, F&G is our primary carrier, 1958, 60 years. Their mother company, Old Mutual, makes them almost 100 years old. American National, 1905. National Life, 1848. Phoenix, this is the company that paid the death claim when Abraham Lincoln was shot. So if you're looking for something that stood the test of time, you found it. Our compensation is second to none if you'll share this with somebody. So backing up, you've seen everything that we do, why we do it. Here's the question: who needs to know about it? The answer: everybody does. We affect everybody. This is a big deal, folks, in the largest industry in the world. And as I said, our compensation is second to none. If you would share this with one person a week, just one, our entry-level compensation, I'm talking side hustle, don't change your lifestyle, just once a week, share this with somebody. Why? Because they need to know about it. And let's say they could save $50 a week. Now, the average premium is double that, but let's keep it simple. $50 a week. If you did that one a week, you're making an extra $3,300 a month on the side. Now, you do that for a while, we'll get you trained up. You know a little bit more. We're going to promote you to a regional manager, and that same one person a week will make you that $5,000. Again, one time per week, folks. This is a big deal. In the largest industry in the world, and according to MSN Money, there are 2 professions in the country where you can make 6 figures in your first year in any of the 50 states. First one is that of a doctor or surgeon, but you got to go to medical school. The only other profession is within the financial services industry, within the life business, and that's where we operate. You can make 6 figures in your first year. And I talked about time when we got started. After you've done this for a little longer, we're going to promote you to our regional vice president. Helping one person a week is an extra 80 grand a year. Let me ask you a question. If you were making an extra 80 grand a year on the side, how much time would that give you to do the things that matter most to you? What would you do with that? What would that mean for your time factor? See, here at Freedom Equity Group, we don't want to just help you make an income. We want to help give some time back to you, because time is something we don't get more of. Now, that's just helping one person a week. We have a networking flair to this. This is an agency business model, but it comes with a networking flair. Our builder's compensation. If you will help introduce us to other people, we are licensed all across the country, all 50 states. Who do you know that could use an extra 3 to 5 grand a month? Helping one person a week. Who do you know? Anywhere in the country. Well, let's just assume you introduced us. We'll help teach him and train him. We've got a system in place, folks. But you get an override compensation from the insurance company. Hey, thanks for introducing Fred to us. Here's an override. He was helping one person a week. So if you continued, you were now a leader. You still help one person a week, but you introduced 3 people to this, and they worked half as hard as you, helped one person a week. Your override compensation is roughly about $3,600 a month. Now, you help those people make an extra 2 or 3 grand a month. They're not going to stop because they need the money. It's the simplest money they found. If they would just go out and share this, you can't make any more money in a time-tested industry like this than any other opportunity I've ever found or I know of. So they're not going to stop. So now you have made and you've built an income that will continue in your absence. Because up here, if you don't, sign one person up a week, you don't make the income. But if you help 3 people make an income, that can continue in your absence. And so if you continue helping one person a week, plus the $3,600, that's $10,320 a month, 123 grand a year. And folks, we got a GPS to get you there in about 8 to 10 months, maybe 12 if you went a little slower. We can go at your speed though. This is something that our job is to help you bridge the financial gap in your family. We have 10 ways we pay our people, just not personal savings, but generational overrides and spreads. You get renewals. Think about this. As they continue saving their $200, there's a residual income that stacks upon itself. And that's your block of business. You get those renewals as long as you're around, and you can will it, you can sell it. It's your business. We have infinity overrides and bonus pools, but then we have this equity play we talked about, where millions of dollars are on the table for the taking for those that would like to participate. My question is that you? See, we know this. An extra $1,000 a month can change the car you drive, or maybe the car of a family friend. What kind of car would you drive if you had that extra $1,000? If you're driving your dream car, who would you help? An extra $5,000 a month will change the house you live in. Maybe you just need a better zip code. Maybe you have a family member that needs a better zip code. Help them. What would an extra $10,000 a month do? And I just showed you working 1 day a week and then helping 3 other people work half as much. You can make 10 grand a month in a 100-year-old time-tested industry. Folks, we've got this. It's digitized. You can learn all this from a cell phone. Everything I just told you, we have in short 2 to 5 minute videos that work from a cell phone. Our world-class recognition, we have trips. You can earn those, travel to the most beautiful places. We recognize and honor you. We even have Super Bowl rings for a remembrance of a lifetime. So we offer a risk-free opportunity in a 100-year-old time-tested industry. Went too fast. Sorry about that. You can be your own boss. You can look in the mirror, and you want a day off, you can take a day off, because remember, you've built some of that residual income that comes in your absence. We'll have people this week and next week during Christmas and New Year's who will make 5 figures for the week, and they're on vacation. This is something that is true and real, and it can work. And it is working for a lot of folks. Again, in one of the largest, in fact, the largest industry in the United States. There's no major investment, no experience required, no inventory, no monthly fees, unlimited terror. We can do it anywhere. So here's my question as I close, is where do you see yourself? Could you or your family benefit from this information? Can you see this as, I would really be smart to find out more how this policy, this program, this tax-free living benefit indexing thing can benefit me financially. Or perhaps you'd like to make some money, because when we refer this to someone, the insurance company, when people get these programs, they pay a fee. They pay compensation to the individual who introduced it to them. And so you could actually make an income. You could be a paid referral agent part-time, make an extra 2 or 3 grand just referring people over. Or maybe you'd like that income replacement, maybe an extra $10,000 a month. You could do that and only working maybe 20 hours a week instead of 40 to 60. And get some more of that precious time back so you can actually spend it with the people who matter most to you. And we can help you do that. The fastest we've seen somebody within our company make 100 grand was 30 days, 60 days. We've had people make 6 figures in 4 to 5 months. Average time for the people who run this system, we've got the recipe, is about 10 months. But some people took them a couple of years. But is it worth investing 24 months to make that 6 figures and get an equity play involved? Yeah, it is. So here's your job. Your job is to get back to the person who asked you to listen in tonight and give them your opinion. Give them your honest thoughts on what you feel you saw, because everything we just shared, we can prove, we can validate it, and it's here for you. Just the question is, where do you see yourself? And so get back to the person in the next 1 to 2 days by Friday and let them know, this is where I see myself. What do I do next? So with that, I'll stop the recording. Thank you for listening in if you got the recording.